Alright, so this is an improvement to my Kim Possible 2 Drakken's Demise TAS. This is about 6.5 seconds faster than the old TAS I did. And there are some improvements. Most of them are at the end of the run, but I'll try and point them out whenever they happen. But anyway, onto the run. So the first thing I'm going to do is a tutorial desync. So I open up my gadgets menu the same frame I go on a tutorial. And what that does is that it makes a tutorial timer run without actually starting the tutorial. And that is useful because we can use it to skip some lag frames. And on this level specifically, we can pause a cycle for a platform we need to get on, which we will see later. And that's also a glitch. So that tutorial just messed up because it's supposed to use the grappling hook, but I made it use the lipstick gum, which saved on lag frames, so that's why I did that. And it looks funny too. So up and coming is the platform I was talking about earlier. I used the tutorial desync to set up that cycle as well as I could, so I can get on the platform immediately without having to wait, because you would normally have to wait. And that's level 1 done. I'm on to 1-2. There's nothing as crazy here, but I will talk about jumping. So the thing with jumping in this game is that in order to get as little height as possible from jumping, you actually have to mash the A button as quickly as possible. So for minimum height, you have to press A for 1 frame, let go, press A for 1 frame again, let go again, and then do that 2 more times, and that gives you minimum jump height. You move slower in the air, so you want to jump for as little time as possible. So I try and minimize the amount of time I'm jumping whenever I have to jump. At the end of this level, there's this cool little bit. I use the grappling hook to skip having to swing on those thingies, and that saves a bunch of time. And also do that little grappling hook thing at the end to get in the exit faster. So there's not a ton to say about this level, but these statues are pretty annoying because you can only hit them at a certain rate, so I make sure I hit them as quickly as possible, because if you try and hit them too quickly, your attacks just won't register. So I had to be really careful of that when getting through the section. So I delay my jumps. I jump a little bit higher than the minimum amount, and that's how I get through there. So up and coming is a little death warp. I have to wait for that spiky ball, and then I take a death. And that lets me get through that statue. It's overall a bit faster than not taking the death. You have to wait for that spike cycle, which is kind of annoying. I tried to find a way to skip it, but I had no luck. Finding a way to skip that would be one of the most notable time saves you could potentially get in this run. So right there, I started 1-4, but then I immediately quit out, and then I started a new file and went to 1-1. Why did I do that? Well, I'm about to set up the main exploit in this game, which is known as cutscene storage. So 1-1 here is basically exactly the same as it was before. But what cutscene storage is that you basically store a cutscene and then carry it into another level. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing through 1-1 again, and whenever you pause the game, you actually move for 1 frame before the game is paused, and we can exploit that in order to store a cutscene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play through the level, and then I'm going to pause on the last frame before the cutscene starts. And what that will mean is that I will enter the cutscene while the game is pausing, and then you will see what happens when that happens. So I go back to the first save file, go on the Rufus level, and I can skip it. And the fun side effect about that is that I skipped a cutscene, and it's faster than doing the Rufus level, which is why I do it. But now we have more cutscene storage shenanigans. I got cutscene storage on 1.5, and now I'm playing 1.1 on a new save file to unlock 1.1 on the second save file. Because when I finished 1.1 before, it didn't actually change the save file, but it has now. So what I did after that was that I went back to 1.5, I got cutscene storage again, but then I went to 1-1 on the Global Justice Simulator. And as you saw, that made me go to World 2. So yeah, if you get cutscene storage on a boss level, and then you perform it on another level, what it ends up doing is that it lets you skip the entire world. Like, the game doesn't care that you're not on the final level, it just cares that you're on a level, so it'll take you to the next world. So that's what's happening here. So on the save file, right now the save file thinks I'm on 3-1, but when I do the skip again, I'll be on 4-1. It won't take me to 3-2, it'll take me all the way to 4-1. So here's another thing I need to point out. So on this level I went to 2-5 to set up this glitch, and I did it on 1-5 the last time. In my original TAS I went to 1-1, but in this TAS I went to 1-5 and 2-5 respectively because it was faster, since the levels load faster. Both of them together saved about 38 frames, I believe. And also in the earlier levels there were some very minor optimizations which saved about 15 frames or so, I don't know exactly how many. So for the remainder of the run, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get cutscene storage on 1.5, and then I'm going to go back to the second file, go to the tutorial, and then let cutscene storage play out so I can skip each level in World 4. I have to do it in the tutorial because if I do it anywhere else, the game will soft lock and I'll have to soft reset the game, which is overall slower. And this is faster than actually playing through World 4 as well, so that's why it's happening. I try and do a little different movement at the start of every tutorial, you know, just to make the run a little bit more interesting. So I think we should be going to no, we have one more cutscene storage and then we should be going to the final boss. I think. So yes, now we're on the final boss, and this is where the biggest time save from my original TAS was. I saved about 5.5 seconds on this boss. So start off with the Shigo section. So what I do is I use spring kicks to hit her. So you gain the spring kick once you get to World 2. And I'm using the spring kick on Shigo and Drakken to hit them as quickly as possible. And that's the major difference between this TAS and the old TAS. In the old TAS, I did not use the spring kick anywhere near as heavily, but here I am heavily utilising the spring kick, combined with reducing my spring kick jump height by using the jump button, you know, in order to reduce airtime and to get as many spring kicks in as possible. And that ended up saving a ton of time on this final boss. I saved about 5.5 seconds overall. And there we go. That was the TAS done in 8 minutes. In RTA timing, I think it's a 7:27, but I don't fully remember. So yeah, that was the TAS, and that was my explanation. Sorry if it was a little bit here and there, but I didn't really have a script. I was just going along as the run was going. But yeah, what I was doing in the final boss, just to 100% make clear what I was using spring kicks, and what I forgot to mention is that the spring kicks deal triple damage, and that's why we use the spring kicks, because they do 3 times as much damage as all of your other attacks. So I use the spring kicks, and then I like mash the jump button and such to reduce my spring kick height. But I have to be careful of how much high I have to get, because in the Shigo section, if I don't do it correctly, her RNG will mess up and she'll do something stupid I don't want her to do. And in the Drakken section, I need to get enough height so I can actually hit him. And there was that one bit as well where I had to go over the laser. So that also had to happen. So yeah, that was the TAS, and I will let the rest of the credits play out.